Welcome to the CrossFit Canada podcast, telling the stories of Canadian affiliate owners and coaches. And I'm super excited for the dream team that I have today. We've got PT and Rez from CrossFit NCR, although I think I just took away what you guys are supposed to do. So how we start this off is it's like if you come and do a drop-in at the affiliate, you guys are going to introduce yourselves. What I want to do for you guys is introduce yourselves. We already know what the affiliate is because I let the cat out of the bags. How many kids you have, because I know you guys are both family guys. And then maybe an impactful book that either you've read or are reading or just the first one that comes to mind. So let's kick it off. I'll go PT, you're top left on my screen, so why don't you kick it off?
Okay, I'll kick it off. Paul Tremblay, CrossFit NCR. I don't remember what you said before the impactful book. That just
how many kids?
How many kids? Okay, that because the book part just threw me for a spin.
Yeah, because you don't read.
I was just trying to remember the 5 books that I've read in my life, and I was gonna have to pick one of them. Not
Romeo and Juliet.
Not including Harry Potter's.
Kids' books can count. We'll say that if it's impactful, like the Pokey Puppy, that can count.
All right, that's good. I have 4 kids. 4 kids. They're ages like let's say 4 to 9, and 2 boys, 2 girls. And impactful book. One of the latest books that I've read, and it's a joke that I don't read. I mean, I do read a little bit, not much. A couple books a year. I'm not like Rez, but I recently read the book The Psychology of Money. And that's like kind of a very easy read. It's a small book, but it was pretty impactful. Not just because of the title, because there was a lot of lessons to just other areas of life. So it was a lot about like what you perceive or whatever your relationship with something is completely different than another person's relationship with that thing. So in this book, it was money and investments and things like that. But just in real life, just understand there's different perspectives. And there was a lot of connections to, the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, where there's talking about paradigm shifts and things like that. So anyways, that was the book.
Very cool.
Rez.
Yeah, name's Rez, CrossFit NCR. Only 2 kids. Similar ages, 3 and 6. Most impactful book. I haven't read it recently, but I've read it about 3 times. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. I'm not sure I'm saying his name right. Eckhart Tolle. Great book. Puts a lot of perspective on life. Just kind of makes you see life through a different set of eyes. As affiliate owners, we're probably no strangers to hearing people complain, a lot. This book puts a very good perspective on life. And, when someone's really upset about not making it to semifinals, it's like, well, look, you're healthy, you're happy, your family's healthy and happy. Are you really that upset? Is it worth being upset? So it puts a good perspective on life. I like it. I like to go back to that book every couple of years and read it.
Love it. Keeping with that, I know kids myself, but I do have 2 step kids. We're like coworkers, we pass in the halls and the kitchen and whatnot. And I'll go with the book I'm currently working through. I do audiobooks. So yeah, I'm not a reader either, but I do audiobooks, and I'm just working through Revenge of the Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell. But take a follow-up to his first book. A big fan of Malcolm Gladwell myself. So we'll just go with that's the one I'm on now for anyone interested. So from there...
How old are your stepkids?
They are 6 and 8. 6 and 8, 2 girls. And I don't know how anyone could do it any differently with boys.
It's it's I mean, I have both. Rez has both. And you know what? It's not. There's no such thing as that's their boys or their girls or kids just get into whatever they want to get into, whether it's boys or girls. You know what I mean? So it's. Yeah. I'm sure we're living the same. We're in the same boat here.
That's right. Yep. So where I like to go things next is I love CrossFit origin stories. So be very curious to hear how you both got started in CrossFit, your first exposure and where it went from there.
Oh, Reza loves this story.
Well, like there's our story, but then we each have our own individual story.
Right. Okay.
I'll start. Mine, I was talking to someone about this the other day. Like one of my good friends, who's actually now one of our coaches, John Dale, we used to just go to .com. Like I'm talking 2010, 2011. And we'd read the workout and we'd try to make our best version of it and just do the workout as we saw fit. And it's funny because I remember someone was doing knees to elbow at the gym the other day. And I remember what I thought a knees to elbow was you hang from the bar and like this knee comes to this elbow and this knee comes to this elbow. And that's how I used to do knee to elbow. But that's how I started CrossFitting, was going to .com and just doing CrossFit workouts. That was like my first experience with CrossFit. Very old school, not too many YouTube videos around back then. And then, obviously it progressed to meeting this guy, but I'll let him tell his story because I know it's a little different than mine.
Yeah, mine wasn't with .com, but it was with. So I just would work out a lot. Obviously, loved working out, and it was just a friend of mine he just came up to me one day and he's just like, "Hey, look at this picture," and it was a picture of the podium in I think 2010 or 2011. Actually 2010, the year Rich did not win, but he finished second. And he's just, "You want to take our workouts to the next level? Let's do what these guys do." So right off the bat, for me, it was like competition, and it was let's find a really hard workout and let's basically compete at it. Let's compete against each other. So that was basically my start. And obviously, fast forward, I found an affiliate, and then at that affiliate, I asked the affiliate owner. I said, "Who's the best CrossFitter in Ottawa?" And they said, "Oh, well, actually, his name's Reza, and he comes to this gym." I said, "Perfect. When does he work out? I'm going to come work out with him." And
then, okay, now this is a fun story. So I'm at the bar one night with my buddy John Dale, who's now our coach. We're just literally sitting at the bar shooting shit. Some guy in an Adidas hoodie comes up to me, and I remember the first thing I thought is like, why is this guy wearing a hoodie at the bar? Anyway, he's like, "You're Reza," and I'm like, "Yeah, who the fuck are you?" He's like, "I'm Paul." He's like, "I go to your gym. Like, we need to work out together." And it's loud and we're drunk and I'm like, "Okay, man." Like, and I'm like, "Tomorrow." I'm like, "Let's do it tomorrow, tough guy." He's like, "Okay, I'll be there. What time?" I tell him what time. And that was that. And then he never showed up the next day.
I didn't show up.
And I remember, because I very rarely rip my hands. I could tell you a story about every time I've ripped my hands. And that was one of the days that I ripped my hands. So I ripped my hands the next day. But long story short, we got together on the Monday and we started training together. And I was like, "Let's do some back squats to start the day." And he's like, "Okay." So I got 2 plates on the bar. We're squatting, we're shooting the shit, getting to know each other. And all I remember is he goes, "Do you mind if I had another plate?" And I'm like, "Yeah, no problem, of course." I'm struggling, but I'm trying to play it cool. This motherfucker goes, do you mind if I had another plate?" I'm just like, "Okay." And he just kept doing this until there was 405 on the bar, I think. And I was just like, "Holy shit, this guy's strong. God damn." And that was the first time I remember working out with him.
I don't know if it was that time, Rez, but like pretty early on, Matt, we obviously we got along and we loved working out together, but pretty early on it was like, hey, like we could probably open up our own gym. And like Rez, he's like, "Well, I'm actually already looking." Like he was already kind of had started the process, and I was still like super new to it. He was about a year in, and I had just quit my job, and I was looking for something, right? Looking to build a career, doing something different. So that's kind of how it went. And honestly, like when we look back and like now it's like 13, 14 years, it's like, man, it was some pretty big luck there that obviously we still get along and we still like to work out together and hang out. And yeah, and ended up building NCR. So that's the story.
Yeah, we didn't know each other that well when we actually opened up the gym together.
Mm-hmm. Very new.
Now you're finishing each other's sandwiches. But I think, what's interesting about how, and we don't need to get into this part about it, but as CrossFit has evolved over the past 20 years, is that many people maybe don't realize that, like, that's what Glassman used to do to Greg Amundsen, is this new guy would come in and be like, hey, you're going to go up against him and you guys are going to go head to head and we're going to see who comes out on top. And it was never to like make anyone feel worse than the other. It was to have both of them bring out the best in each other. As we know, men will die for points on the whiteboard. Mm-hmm. So it was
to test the methodology, right? It was to say like, hey, you think you're fit? Well, this guy's really fit. And then they try it, and they test their fitness. And it was like, well, what are you doing? And we've always said that in CrossFit, right? It's like, hey, if someone comes up to us and beats us, it's like, well, what are you doing?
We want to do it.
That's right. Yeah.
You want to do it? We'll put it in our program. Because
right. If someone goes to the chiropractor 7 days a week, well, then we'll add that in. That's it. But it all kind of always boils down to the same thing. And so it sounds like for you guys, it was just as much as good luck as good planning. As how much has that relationship of adding one extra plate to the bar of business and of life forged this relationship?
That's a tough question. I always kind of say like we stayed in our lanes a little bit. Like, right. Reza's super good with members. Like he has all of their phone numbers. He like talks to them all the time. I'm a little less like that. And maybe I had a little bit more of a business background. So like the gym, the business was set up like properly. So all our back end was pretty tight. And Reza's relationship skills were amazing. And he was a really good coach at the beginning. Well, he still is, but when I started, I wasn't a coach, right? So you remember Reza was like, you're the guy, like you're the coach, you're the guy who's programming. And I was learning from him, right? A lot at the beginning because, and my focus was even just more working out, like early days of NCR, we just worked out all day and then coached a couple classes and people would come and work out with us. And then, obviously grew from there, but yeah, maybe, we had our own skill set and we kind of stayed in those lanes. And obviously as time went on, like Rez he's a business guy now, he's got his MBA and he can just do anything on the back end as well. So, but yeah, maybe early on that was kind of a good recipe.
I also think, I don't know if I'm right or wrong to say this, but I feel like we're pretty different people. And like whenever we'd get into an argument, I'd see one side, he'd see the other side. And the resolution was always the best answer to the argument, So we kind of brought opposing solutions, and us kind of working together always came up with the best solution. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Reza loves playing the devil's advocate. He'll tell you.
I love analogies too.
And then I'll hit back real hard and he goes, man, that's not what I think. I'm just saying this is how it could be, or this is how people could see it. He's like, don't get mad at me. I'm just devil's advocate. That's it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to hear your guys' reflections now, but like, what were those early, PT, you already said like you guys worked out and coach classes, but like, what were those early days of growth like for you guys in the business side of things? Because I feel like now it's almost like because there's so much information available, there's so many resources, there's so much help available. It's like, I don't know if newer affiliate owners appreciate the figuring it out aspect that was from 2012 to 2018.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean,
yeah,
we had to work pretty hard to, like, you could say that we went to the games as a team in 2012 and PT was an individual games athlete. So we had a little bit of popularity kind of helping us through things, but like we went through our fair share of struggles. like our gym, you know, we opened it in 2013, but I don't think it was functional until, yeah, you know, like early 2014 in terms of like bathrooms and leasehold improvements and stuff like that. You know, I remember we had the physical equipment at the gym and we were lifting on cardboard boxes at one point. So, you know, like we all go through our struggles. We definitely did ourselves.
Yeah. We did start with a fairly big base though, because we were coming from another gym, and, you know, 2013, early years of CrossFit. So we had, you know, our grand opening was 6 months after we actually opened. And at that point we were, I want to say, almost at 100 members, right, Rez? So it kind of came quick, even though we weren't set up properly. Like, we didn't have bathrooms, we didn't have showers. It just kind of grew pretty quickly. So for that, I think, yeah, we put in some work, but we were a little bit lucky with like that initial push of members. And then after that, I think that's when we took maybe, I don't know, a year or two to like actually really find what we're about. Are we just about working out and you know, ourselves and working out with our friends, or are we a little bit more about the people inside our gyms? And I can't speak for Rez, but me originally, like, you know, how people are like, oh, I opened up a gym because I wanted to help people. Like, honestly put, that wasn't mine, right? I grew into that, and I learned to love it, the coaching aspect. But for me, it was always just, hello?
Yeah, you're there.
Yeah.
Okay, I just got a call on that. There we go. For me, it was always just, it was working out. Like, I loved working out, right? And then we found a way to kind of mold that with a career. But I'd say the coaching aspect, what really helped too, is when I got on staff in like 2014 or 2015, and that's when I really fell in love with, like, well, not getting on staff, but like the internship process and learning the level one and starting to give, you know, understand a little bit better. That's when I started really loving it, really loving coaching and seeing people, you know, people getting better and all that stuff. So, yeah.
Rez, any input on that?
Yeah. The background I come from like a bit of a social work background. I worked for the Boys and Girls Club before opening up NCR. And so I always was kind of in pursuit of that helping people side of things. So, you know, I always loved that. I always loved helping people. You know, I started the CrossFit Kids program at our gym. But I guess you could say I fell more in love with it as time went on, you know, and just I was always used to helping people a certain way, and, you know, the physical fitness way was different to me. So, but yeah, it's definitely a stronghold of what NCR is all about today. You know, I think, you know, just, you know, having done my MBA, I always like to think of like, what's NCR's competitive advantage? Like, what do we do that other gyms don't do? And it's coaching. You know, it's coaching. We love coaching. We have the best coaches at our gym. Straight up, like that's what we do. You know, that's what we value at our gym, and that's what we're gonna keep doing.
Yeah, and we love working out, man. Like, I know I said it already, but like, you know, the way we feel when we work out is that's what we want other people to feel. So I'm not saying I don't like helping other people. I don't see it as we're helping people when I'm coaching. I feel like I want them to feel what I feel when I work out. I feel amazing. I love it. It's fun. It's the best way to get fit. I want other people to feel that too. And one thing that our coaches do have here at NCR is they all have that same passion. You know, we don't have coaches here who don't do classes. We don't have coaches here who don't run their dicks into the ground and work hard. I don't care what kind of athlete you are, but if you come in and you work hard and you throw down with everyone here, then, you know, you're good to start the internship, right? If you want to start coaching. But that's one thing that and we still do it, you know, like Reza and I, we still throw down all the time, and our goals are different, but it's the love for working out is still there. And, you know, if some affiliate owners lose that, then it's tough. I find like that's tough to transmit that love for throwing down, working out, and getting better if you don't do it yourself. So, yeah.
Sure.
Well, like, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, sorry. I feel like I'm just thinking out loud here, but I feel like if you go to NCR at any given point in the day and you ask that coach who's working open gym if they'll hit a workout with you, I feel confident in saying every single one of our coaches would be like, no problem. What's the workout?
Right. And I think there's a certain elegance in that aspect of that just being the way. Like, and clearly, like, how you do everything becomes everything. How you do anything becomes everything, in the sense of, you know, you're probably not, now if you're not shy to hit a hard workout as it's presented to you, well, then you're probably not shy to hit a business problem that's presented to you, or to deal with those tough conversations with family and finding that balance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
Agreed.
that's what CrossFit is, man. We do hard stuff in that 1 hour. We do hard shit, and hopefully doing that hard workout helps people deal with stuff in their lives, for sure. It does for me. So, you know, I always feel better after workout. You know, you get into an argument with the wife, or you know, you get a phone call from the school telling you that your kid's being a little shit. Then you know, you do a workout and you kind of feel a little bit better, a little bit more ready to attack something or a situation.
Yeah. So, you know, you guys kind of started your professional relationship as training partners and pushing each other. Paul, you mentioned it already, like, you know, you got on staff, and then Reza, you are now on staff, and then someone who was on the podcast a couple episodes who was at NCR as well as Pete Shaw who's on staff as well. So it's like, it's not about competitiveness, it's just what pushing each other for excellence.
Oh, but that was it really was, Matt. And when Pete was here, Reza, we always said it was like we all wanted to be the best coach, not just the best athlete, right? We all, like, without saying it, we just wanted to be the best coach. We wanted to be the coach that people like the most, people, you know, all that. So that competitive in the coaching was definitely there, and I think that elevated us as well. But yeah, Pete was here he started with us super early, right, Rez? Like,
yeah,
like 6 or 8 months in, and then he personal trained a bunch, and then he became an owner for a couple of years, and then went on his way. But definitely, like, having the three of us here, we were all on staff at one point as well. That helped elevate everything too, for sure. And obviously all good athletes. So we worked out together all the time. You know, we talked about the issues in the gym. It wasn't just, you know, we didn't have to set something on the schedule to talk as owners. Like, we were just always together, always working out and fixing problems as we went along. So definitely the competition aspect in the coaching was a driving factor to some of our success, for sure. So
we kind of kicked it off. I did it half in jest, but, you know, was then, and one thing Pete actually did share was, I guess, Paul, you and him actually lived together just down the road from the gym. But eventually what happened for both of you is families came in the way. So not in the way, families became part of your lives. That changes your perspectives, I'm assuming. So how then, you know, going from two guys just smashing workouts all day to now having to find a little bit more balance and structure. And I'm sure you probably had to implement some systems in your business to allow for all these things. So what was that? Yes and no. What was that?
Really?
Okay.
We added a 9:30 like mom and dad class. Like, you know, if you had a little baby, you could bring your baby to that class. But I'm honestly, like, I know for PT it didn't change nothing. PT, was it George or Felix? Like, kiddo was born and like you were at regionals like 3 days later.
Yeah, that was George. Georgia, I was at 6 days later I was at regionals, but that was 2018. So we're still, that's like 5 years into it. But my first, Felix was born in 2016, right? So the gym was only 3 years old at that point, right? So it was still pretty early in our life cycle there.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, nothing like,
I don't know. Like, that's a really good question, man. What did we change?
we didn't change shit, man. We want our kids to grow up the same way we want them to value health and exercise and fitness the way we do, right? So we role model that. We role model that. We work out in front of them. We have a kids program that's there for literally them. Like, my son begs me to run our kids program. And walk the walk, and they'll walk the walk, and they get it. They love it. Like,
but in terms of business though, Rez, like, when we started having kids, like, did that change? I mean, it changed our schedules. Yeah, probably. I don't coach at night. Reza, for a while I had like one night a week. Now I don't have any. Right. Yeah. So, and yeah, I mean, we don't, and right now, like, we don't coach that much anymore either. And when Pete was here, he was kind of the manager of the gym as well. So he ran the day-to-day, and he was here most than the three of us. And now we have basically a manager as well here who's here most of the time, basically running the gym, right, while we're not here. And maybe we have more coaches now than we had back then, Rez, right?
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe.
Well, it's interesting. It just seems to be like so much in your guys' blood. You bleed NCR, but clearly, like, you've said the answers in a way. It's like, if you were guys all wanted to be the best coaches, I'm sure all you wanted to do was coach. And then now you're not coaching, or realizing, hey, maybe you can take a week off from being at the gym because of an illness or something. So these things put themselves in place, both maybe by design, but also by necessity.
Right.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Reza took a week off. He went to Tampa Bay, and then he came back and took another week off because he was sick. No, I mean, yeah, I think we're fortunate enough as well. Like, I don't know, the way it's set up, that we don't have to work, 10 hours a day in the gym anymore. We did that a lot at the beginning. We had a system where Reza would coach the mornings, I would coach the nights. We did that for several years until, like you said, like, kids came in and more people came. And, as you grow the gym, at that time we had 2 classes at night, 2 classes in the morning. Now we have, 9 throughout the day. So obviously that changes. We're open all day long with open gym. So we have people, obviously people in place for those things. But one thing I think we kind of lucked out, but at the same time, maybe because of our reputation or whatever, but we've attracted like unreal people, and throughout the years of being affiliated and owning the gym, like, we've had, I don't know how many coaches start here, get their level 1s, fall in love with coaching, and then finally just go and open up another gym. And we've always been super cool with that. And, as long as they were open about it and told us, you think about John, Rez, like, he just moved to Montreal, from Montreal, and he came to our gym. He's like, I want to be a member here, but I'm going to open up a gym in Ottawa. We're like, cool.
Yeah.
Do you want to coach? But I don't think he actually ended up coaching here. But, and now we have Sam and Jules and JD and Lindsay and Kaylee, Alessia. Like, we have a great crew. Who did I miss there? Meredith. What's that?
Raleigh.
Yeah, Raleigh. Yeah, we've attracted, I think, really good people who've get along.
Yeah, we had a picture in the lobby, and it was us at like a long time ago UG series. I don't know if you remember them, but they used to go to cities, and they came to Ottawa a couple times. And I think you can count 5 affiliates that were members at our gym at the time.
Yeah, who were wearing blue NCR shirts in the picture. Yeah. Who ended up opening up gyms for sure.
Yeah. In the Ottawa area. So it's like, I remember back in the day, like, someone would leave to open up their own gym, and, personally, I feel a little bit of, you know, it didn't make it. I wasn't stoked. Like, it didn't make me super happy.
Yeah.
But, you know, now that I'm a little bit more mature, I take a step back and I'm like, you know what? Like, CrossFit is what CrossFit has become in this city, you know, and you look at the picture and you're like, you know, and you look at a map of the city and it's like CrossFit's everywhere now. And it's a cool feeling. It's a cool feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what I'm hearing from you guys is this abundance mindset and versus scarcity. You know, it's interesting, Rez, you talk about UG series. I think about what those kind of 2014 to 2016 days were like, and we had the Christinis on, and, you know, talking to them, like, especially in the GTA where they are, the Greater Toronto area, is the Compwad crew.
Oh yeah.
And like, it was this very connected and collaborative group. Maybe talk about those early days, and like, because it was affiliate owners getting together, throwing down, and
best of the best, baby.
Best of the best. Yeah, great times. Even like Reza and I drove down to Toronto for a day to do like Pizza Helen. Remember at Select, they used to do Pizza Helen?
Yeah.
We did a few different. We drove down for a day a couple times. We went for the grand opening of the Christini's gym too.
Yeah,
remember
in
that?
Woodbridge. Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Pizza
No,
Helen,
it was and maybe the community was smaller back then. Maybe you know, we're all kind of around the same age, around the same, you know, time in our lives, that it was just, you know, we had all that time to do it. But we definitely, I think we all helped each other too. Like I would talk to Tommy Snar all the time on the phone. And then after that, Steve Viola, when he owned Select, you know, we talk all the time about our affiliates and what worked there, what worked here. And that wasn't just Select. I mean, there was other people, and, you know, across the country, but definitely like the Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa kind of triangle there in those years with the comps. Like what brought us together was the competitions, right? And I don't know, that still happens, but I don't know if it has the same kind of feel as it did back then, because they were always just in people's affiliates. Like all the comps were just like in gyms, which was really cool. But yeah, those were some good times for sure.
Well, and it's like, you know, I can be often as guilty of the intention of competition. Like for us at CrossFit Aurelia, I'd say like we're not a competitive gym, but, you know, as Denise Thomas has a great video that's out there in the ether, it's like competition isn't you versus the next person or you versus the next affiliate. Competition is just you in that 20-inch box today. You know, that today I'm going to conquer that. And we just finished the open as we're recording this. And it's like this one gal, Hazel, at my gym, she's 66 years old, and she's stoked that she went from the 16th percentile to the 38th percentile in the open, right? And so how has that spirit of competition for you guys been a driving force in I'd say like attracting and retaining talent? Because you guys are very humble about, like, it's like, wow, we have this big team surrounding us.
Yeah. And yeah, just the competition thing. It's like, man, like you said earlier, like it's in our blood. Like we just, whether it's trying to compete for the games or it's trying to compete at the 930 class, trying to beat Rez, like we just have it. And that's why we do the open. That's why we want people to sign up and to do the open. You know, that's because if you're here, if you're inside this gym, if you're at NCR, then you need to have that little bit of a competitive mindset. Whether it is to have greater goals of competing or just, you know, surpassing yourself and working hard. Like the competition is just like going hard, throwing down and taking yourself to a level that you've never done before. And people who are hesitant about signing up for the open, and then they end up signing up, and then we talk to them after week 3 and they're just like, man, am I glad I signed up, you know? Like I've never felt like that. I come to the gym every single day, but I've never felt the way I felt in that workout. And unless you unfortunately pay that $20, $20 USD and put your name on the leaderboard, you're not going to get it. You're not going to get it. And and that's what we kind of try to tell people. But yeah, I mean, that's just about the open, but competition in itself is what I hope that everyone at NCR kind of has a little bit of, right?
It's funny too, like when you talk about competition at NCR, I took a call with this girl. I don't remember her name. I won't even, but she's like, you guys have this reputation. Like, I don't see a competitors class on your schedule. I don't see this. I don't see, and it's like, guys, we don't do anything special. Our competitors, we all do the same thing. Like, what do you mean you do the same? Listen, I do the class every day at my gym. I go as hard as I fucking can, but I do the class. And I try to line it up so that PT's there or Sam's there or whoever's there. And we go for it. You don't do anything else? If I have some time, maybe I might hit some back squats because I'm weak as fuck. But that's it. Like, that's that. And people come and they're like, what do you mean? You guys have such good athletes. We keep it so simple, we keep it so simple. And I think over the years, people have oversimplified things, right? Made things too much going on, right? Too much of this, too much of that, a little bit of accessory work, a little bit volume. Intensity, man. Bring it back to intensity. That's what we do at NCR. And it's, it speaks for itself.
And obviously, like we have two athletes that are moving on to semis in the normal category, not the masters. But then we have like 6 or 7 people moving on to the masters. But like those people, so let's say there's 2 like ultra competitive dudes here, and Reza and Sam program for them. But the main piece or one of the pieces in their daily programming is always the class.
First thing.
So of course they're doing extra work. Like they're trying to qualify for semis and then, shoot for in-person semis in the games. Of course they're doing other stuff. Like we're not going to say you just do one class, but for the majority of people to get better and improve. And we have some people who qualified this year for masters who outperform their open from last year, and all they do is that one class. And we follow CAP, and sometimes we get people complaining about CAP, and it seems to be working for the majority of people. So obviously at a certain point volume's important and training's important, but where we're at specifically and where most of our members are, then that hard one class is just enough.
Well, and I think it goes back to, next to training and fitness, coaching is clearly a pillar for you guys, as well as like real coaching, in the sense of spending as much time in that. It's almost like, I don't know if it's ever been looked at this way, but within the 60 minutes, I'm going to spend a majority of this time trying to find each of yours ideal intensity for the day. And then when we start that clock, it's my responsibility to make sure you hit it and stay at it. So how is coaching a part of that, or a pillar for you guys?
Rez?
I mean, I think you said it really well just there, Matt. Like, finding each individual athlete's threshold. I mean, similar to you guys, I'm sure what each, having been an affiliate, being an affiliate owner, knowing what each athlete's threshold is, and knowing where each person needs to go in this workout to feel the way that they need to feel. And your job as a coach is to help them make them feel that way. So yeah, exactly what you said.
And that's not easy, right? I mean, when, like you say, like you start the clock and it's 3, 2, 1, go. Like a lot of coaches think their job is done, but that's when your job actually starts, right? And definitely, like, you have 30 people in your 6 a.m. class. It's going to be very hard on that specific day to give everybody what they deserve. But it's a long game, right? You're not gonna get to everybody every single day. You're gonna try, but you just know that your members are consistent. They come consistently, 3, 4 times, 5 times a week, and that throughout months and years, they'll get all of what they need, right? But that's hard, right? That's the hard part of coaching for sure. How do we do it? We're probably not perfect at it, but I think Reza and I tried to lead a little bit by example there, but I think all our coaches kind of have that same mindset and same passion for trying to deliver the best hour possible. So, we take classes every single day almost. So we see our coaches coach. We see the way that they handle big groups, small groups. We see the way that they interact with members, with new members, with veteran members. So, we're able to chat with them if we need to after, or ask questions about why they did this, or and us doing the class also helps with, let's say we'll do a class and we'll be like, hey, for the rest of the day, like, let's not do this part of the outline, or let's not, skip this part of warm up and just go straight to this. And then we'll talk. Or, Reza will coach on Thursday morning and be like, hey, I tried this because in the plan it says to do this. Like, I just skip that, spend a little bit more time here. And, we do that almost every single day. Right. So I think that helps the communication between coaches. It's not just the coaches who coach at night versus the coaches who coach in the morning and never see each other. So I think we're lucky enough that we get to see each other too, so we can chat about that.
I want to stay on that for a second longer, because you guys touched on a couple different things. First of which, a 30-person class is 6 a.m. That probably caught some people's attention, being like, how would that even happen? Second would be using a program service, whether it's CAP or something else. But then the third, I think the underrated piece, because we also use CAP, I think using programming is the best way to free up your bandwidth. But being willing to adjust or modify the programming to facilitate the group that's in front of you is potentially missed at large. As to say, I can't change the workout because this is the way it's written. But really, what are we trying to do? Like you said earlier, it's like, well, we'll do with whatever is effective. That's what real CrossFit is. And if it means running the workout as an EMOM instead of a time prior or a task priority workout, then that's what we're going to do. So how do you guys change on the fly?
Well, maybe it's a little less. Maybe we could chat about what we do in a week.
Exactly.
Go talk about that process.
Yeah, so it's a little less on the fly. So what we try to do is we get CAP like 2 weeks in advance, kind of thing. So usually on Tuesday, myself, Paul, and Sam will sit down together. We'll review the next week's programming, and that's where we'll make our edits for NCR, right? For example, running today, right? Weather's a little milder, sun's out, less snow on the ground. We decided we're going to run today. We make these decisions right around programming, but we haven't ran in so long. We're not going to run 2,400 meters today in one shot. We're just going to do the same workout that's programmed for today, but we're going to add a 400-meter run to each round instead of that big chunk at the beginning, right? A little less volume running, so on and so forth. So we kind of tackle each week like that. The on-the-fly stuff is usually in regards to the warm-up, right? So we look at the warm-up, and I'll try to do the warm-up that was in the coach's notes, and I'll be like, you know what? This took out 5 minutes that I needed later. So let's just forget about this. And so you'll have that time later. Or you could try it, whatever you need to do. So that's, it's a little less on the fly than we made it seem. It's a little bit more deliberate. And we do also try our best when we make major changes to inform the team of the changes that we've made, so that they kind of understand, like, okay, this is what we're doing instead, and this is why we're doing it.
Yeah, we'll send an email with all the changes. A lot of the changes that we do too is like we'll do Saturday, and we're not open on Sundays for a CrossFit class. So we'll take that Sunday, and if we like it, we'll try and put it somewhere in the week, either as extra work or even just like completely change it. Saturdays, I mean, we just love partner workouts. So if it's not a partner workout, we're going to make it a partner workout. And then sometimes, we look at the workout and we know our members, and like you do too, like most affiliate owners, they know their members really well, and they look at the workout and they're like, well, this isn't enough for an hour, or this is too much for an hour. So, and we switch it up and we say, hey, well, last week we did, that EMOM of row climbs. In the outline, it says spend 20 minutes on row climbs this week. Well, we did it last week. Maybe we just do a refresher this week, and we add a little bit of a accessory work at the end, things like that. But again, it's never just one person doing it. We sit down and do it together. Either it's always pretty much Sam. So Sam is kind of the staple there, and it's either Rez or me that help him through that. And if there's Turkish get-ups, Rez just takes him fully out. He hates those. And what I've learned throughout the years too is that Reza just never does the cash out. He just like starts talking to members, and he just like quietly exits the class.
I have a good reason for that,
because he hates.
I go so hard in the workout that I have nothing left to give for the cash out.
That's a really good one. You know how often it happens, Matt, where we do the programming, we look at the workout, and we're like, let's just add this at the end of class. You know, even just something small. We do the class, and I'm looking around, and I'm just like, we didn't need to add this. I'm done. Like I'm finished, right? So there is, every time we do change something, we always kind of ask ourselves, like, is this change actually important? You know, and then throughout the day, be like, hey, we added this at the end of class. You don't need it, and then we can change it, right? So that's sort of the on the fly stuff that we do.
Well, and I hope people really gravitate onto that in the sense of like, no, intensity is the independent variable most commonly associated with getting people jacked AF. So realizing it's not 60 minutes is the independent variable. So to be willing to just say, hey, like, no, everyone's smashed right now. I've done my job. Let's stretch, cool down, and let's give people some time back in their day can be an underrated piece of fostering community, or better yet, fostering culture to have people connected. Realizing you could try to fill 59 minutes, but if people don't have time to connect after, maybe you're missing something. So
true.
Yeah. And we, you know, what if the class ends at 50 minutes or 45? You know, it happens sometimes. And we'll have some members be like, well, what are we going to do now? You know, and then sometimes like, well, you know what, we're going to take scores, we're going to stretch and hang out. And then you know, like they say in the corporate world, I'll give you 10 minutes back, you know, and you can go back to work or get home early to your kids. And that happens sometimes. And sometimes we go a little bit over, right? So we have like this 60-minute, you know, and a lot of people just have those blinders on that it's like, it has to be 60 minutes. Well, you know, sometimes you can just throw down in 30 to 40 and have some good coaching and good conversation, and that's it, right? That's definitely part of it. But one thing that you touched on, like buying programming or using someone else's program, like you can't look at the plan and say like, this is our plan, this is what we're doing, like no matter what, right? You need to be able to adjust it. Like it's as simple as that. So the thing is, you take that plan, you give it to a brand new coach. That's what we've always said. Like you take it to give that plan to a brand new coach, say, hey, execute this as written, verbatim. You'll lead a great class. Okay? And that's what's important in that program, in buying programming and having that planning, right? And then after that, as you get more experience and you know your coach's talk and everything, yes, there's adjustments to be done, and maybe even one class doesn't look exactly like another one, and you know, maybe 5 years ago we would have said, no, it has to be that way. Well, now we're just a little bit more like, so be it. You had 4 people in your class and you decided to add some bike sprints at the end of the class. Who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that I do want to talk to you guys about too is the whiteboard, because, you know, one thing I see on Instagram is you guys still use the whiteboard and are big proponents of it. How important is it to you guys?
It's weird to me that people don't use a whiteboard. I was in an affiliate in Tampa and they didn't have a whiteboard, and it's just strange. Like, do you use a whiteboard? Who doesn't use a whiteboard? It's blasphemy. Like
you know, and very unique to us. I'm fortunate enough to have a longtime member owns an electronics recycling company that you could hit from the gym with a ball. And he got me an 80-inch TV that we have on the wall, and we still do 3 Zoom classes a day from the pandemic.
Wow.
Because we have the person up on the wall, they're like bigger than life, but we still use a whiteboard. And in fact, I just went and bought a new whiteboard so I could have a better whiteboard.
Yeah.
It's the best.
I mean, all the good things about the whiteboard, right? Like it's like we obviously have an app. We have SugarWOD. People can put their scores online. People can see their workouts, but on the whiteboard, there's something about writing people's names. I mean, as a coach too, it forces coaches to write everybody's name. Like
Yeah.
just that alone, like you learn the spelling of your members' names. If you don't know someone, you check the app to write the name on there, or if you don't know, you go ask them. But and it's just it starts at the whiteboard, it ends at the whiteboard, the scores at the end. I know there's some cons to it, like some people don't like it, some people don't like giving their scores, and that's fine. Just tell me you got a smiley face, you showed up and you worked out. That's cool. But the little bit of stretching at the whiteboard while we take scores, the little bit of conversation that people can have. You can have sometimes we'll ask a question or
events, community events.
But yeah, and also like when you have a whiteboard, people walk into the gym and they go to it right away. What are they doing? Are they reading the workout? Or are they reading people's scores?
Yeah,
they're people reading. They're reading people's scores, man. They're like, okay, well, who was here today? Who did RX? Who, and people always compare themselves to the same people, and that's the little bit of competition that we love, and the whiteboard helps that for sure.
Well, and that's what I hope folks are starting to gravitate towards is like in this conversation is realizing like, you guys have had your successes, but it lies in its simplicity, and simple is not easy, but realizing, okay, it's like, no, we hit one workout a day. Sometimes we go to 59 minutes. Sometimes it's 49. We write everyone's name on the whiteboard. We celebrate scores. Like just the stuff that's been around since day one. And part of the program is, or what is, I guess, a better way to sum it up is in that aspect is, when you feel like you've mastered the basics, go back to the beginning and start again with more detail. I feel like that's underrated in the CrossFit business side of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's easy to dilute. And coaching CrossFit is hard, in my opinion. It's not easy. Coaching a CrossFit light class is easy. Coaching high rocks is easy, but coaching CrossFit is not. And I think there's value in different types of classes, but we've always toyed with, hey, should we put a class here or this CrossFit light, or should we put a different class on the schedule? Like, no, people come here for CrossFit, man. That's what we do. It's like you said earlier, like the salt shakers in the middle of the table. That's where we put it, and that's what we do. We obviously have a weightlifting class. Yeah, we have an engine class on Sundays for people to come sweat it out, which is awesome. But the 95% of our classes in our programming is CrossFit, and sometimes we'll do muscle ups and sometimes we'll do snatches because they're complicated, and there's a lot of value to doing complicated movements, even if you're brand new to fitness. So, yeah, that's kind of our brand, right, Rez?
CrossFit, baby.
So I think it would be worth, for the tens of people listening who have made it this far and just at the edge of their seat is, you guys are willing to stay true to the brand, but you're still willing to try new things and take risks. And so what was the venture you guys undertook, probably 2 years ago now? And let's unpack that a little.
The new gym?
Yeah. Expanding.
Yeah, that was, we were presented with an opportunity, and we thought, we were always intrigued by the idea of running 2 affiliates, and the opportunity presented itself. So we took advantage of it, and we bought a gym that was a CrossFit gym, de-affiliated during COVID, did not re-affiliate. So then we took over and re-affiliated. To us, and I'm missing details here, PT will fill in the blanks, but we thought that with our business model, with our reputation, with everything that we've created at NCR, with the small membership base that was already at this gym, we could make something come of this. A couple things that were working against us just right off the hop. The location wasn't it was about a 10-minute drive from our current gym, NCR. So it was pretty close to our other gym, but it kind of tapped us a part of the city that we weren't tapping into. So that excited us. We tried it, and the outcomes were not super desirable for us. Did I miss anything in the kind of the opportunity there, PT? You want to?
No, I mean that's basically it, right? Like as gym owners, you're looking for growth, and we figure out what are different avenues for growth. Well, there's getting more members here, or there's having different locations, and both can have a pretty good outcome for growth. I think we made a bunch of mistakes, and we could have probably, if we done it differently, could have made it successful. But I think it came down to when we decided to close it, we finally realized that, well, first of all, we merged it because it was so close that we were able to just tell our members, hey, you're here now. Obviously, we didn't keep them all, but that's normal. I think we basically realized we're not going to be able to create NCR elsewhere, which was maybe a tough realization. Like, hey, we're really good here. We're not good there. So we might have to be different. And then Reza and I were just like, well, we just don't want to be different. We like what we have here. We like the way our coaches, our members are, like, we like this feeling. And if we can't reproduce it elsewhere, then I don't want to do something different elsewhere. Right, Rez? Like, that was kind of simply put. It was just like, well, if we're not willing to change, or if we're not willing to put Rez there full time, because Rez was kind of splitting his time, so was I. And it's just like, well, if you don't have someone there, like a staple on a full-time basis and in an affiliate to grow it, then it wasn't really working, and it wasn't really making us happy. So,
and it was financially not making too much sense either.
Right.
Exactly. I mean, we could float it and be like, okay, well, we'll break even or do this for a year or two. And it's like, well, what's the point?
Yeah. I learned a valuable lesson in culture too. Like what we do day in, day out is we basically develop and nurture a culture within our gyms, right? You might not know you're doing it, but you're doing it. And the culture that we had at NCR was CrossFit, right? All about CrossFit. And the culture that we were trying, and that was a culture that we were trying to bleed into this gym. But this gym was used to, typical overly programmed classes, like we are doing so much in an hour, you know what I mean? But, everyone's hurt all the time and they're always complaining about their injuries. So here we are trying to bleed our culture into this place. And it was just, it wasn't working. It wasn't working. And it was just rough. And it was, you go, I remember, I'd coach a class at our new affiliate, and then there were some days where I'd coach a class there, and then I'd go over and coach one in the afternoon at our regular affiliate, and I'd be so happy. And I'd be like, oh my God, people are listening to me. The people are happy here. And it just, it took its toll. And,
it comes down to like what we enjoy. Like, that gym had small classes, and the people who went there enjoyed small classes, and that's great. And there's definitely a segment of people who don't want 30-person classes at 6 a.m. There's a segment of people who want a 3-person noon class, and they love it, right? It just wasn't what we loved. We get fired up by a class full of people, and I'm exaggerating with 30. It doesn't happen every day. But we get fired up by a class full of people. Energy is high, and that's what we love doing. So when it comes down to it, it's like, hey, there we weren't having that, and it's kind of came to the decision. Let's just bring these people over who want to come over, and then we'll go from there. And it was honestly it was a great call. It was a great call financially too for us. We got rid of a lot of expenses over there, obviously, with rent and everything. And there's other details there. Like, the rent at that location was almost the same as our rent here, and it was half the size. So we have a great landlord here. We have a great price, and over there it the numbers weren't making all that much sense with the amount of members that we had. So decided to just merge it over here. And the people who came, man, I think they're happy. And, obviously we love them just as much as our original members.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we hope that, they kind of got our real vibe, a real NCR vibe when they come here. Yeah.
And what, Rez, you said a word that I think is really important. And so culture versus community, because I think community almost in a way is overused. And you could say like, okay, like if someone's trying to say, hey, will you guys come look at this gym? We were an affiliate. We have a great community. And it's not to knock it yes or no, but really what you're buying is your culture. So how would you guys differentiate those pieces?
I don't travel very often, and I had a chance to go to a gym in Tampa, and it was an awesome gym. And the moment the workout was over, everyone came up to me and started talking to me because I was a new guy. That to me is community, right? It's like the feeling that you can expect at almost any CrossFit gym anywhere you go in the world, right? That idea that like we all suffer together, we share pain together. I'm going to cheer you on. You're going to cheer me on, so on and so forth. Culture's a little step past that, I think, right? It's what we value as a community, right? It's the things that we value as a community. Like, what does this community value, right? We value coaching. We value health, fitness. Are you the type of affiliate that celebrates open workouts with, donuts and cookies and coffee, like Coca-Colas and whatnot? Or are you the kind of affiliate that celebrates with like, some maybe some sweets, some fruit, some coffee, that kind of thing. So that's kind of where I draw the line between community and culture.
So Reza wasn't there on Saturday, but I did bring cookies and croissants, but they were mostly for the kids. But yeah,
there's fruit too, though, right?
There was fruit. There was definitely fruit. Yeah. Sarah bought fruit for sure.
So we had options for people.
Something you said there, Rez, like it made me think that community is people coming up to you after the workout and introducing themselves, but culture is everybody at the whiteboard. Culture is nobody's talking when the coach is talking. Culture is the lines during the warm up and people listening to coach, and culture is members amongst themselves as well. Culture is your Christmas party, things like that. So yeah, it's a good question though, Matt, because I've never really thought of it that way. But and we did a little exercise, Rez and I, with all our coaches a couple months ago, where we were trying to come up with our drawing a blank. Our what?
Values?
Our values. Yeah, our core values. And we never actually did anything with that. But we had a great brainstorm with our coaches about that. And the word community came out a bunch. And then we had a really good conversation about that. Like, what is community? Is community a value, or, because you can have a really bad community, right? Things like that. So, but let's put that back on the docket, Rez. Let's finish that. Sure. Reminds me.
Well, and like for us, our culture, I would define as, if I start the whiteboard brief and then I say, because we got a big group, half of you are going to start on this part of the workout and half of you are going to start on this point. And no one's like, but that's not the way it's written, and get their panties in a twist. They just say, okay, that's the way we're starting. Great. Like, or if we do a progression and I say, if you're doing knee ups, you're on this pull-up bar. If you're doing toe to bar, you're on this pull-up bar. And they go, okay, yes, sir. That's what you say. It's like, that's your culture, as opposed to like, but this is the pull-up bar I always use.
You mean they don't fight over their pull-up bar? Your pull-up bars at your gym?
What are you doing? We need to go offline there. You need to tell us the secrets.
I'll give you the secrets. Yeah.
Keep cracking the whip.
So like, hey, this is where you're doing your pull-ups today. You can do pull-ups there tomorrow, but today, based on this plan. But I think, as you said, like that could be the difference between the culture and community is, a group's willingness to bend, or if they're just really there for selfish reasons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So how can people find out more from you guys?
Well, I'll just leave you one more thing. I think,
sure.
because we like our, obviously we love our community, but it's different than it was 5 years ago.
Okay.
Right? Because we have a churn, like you have a churn, like your members
Sure.
today aren't all the same as they were. So community is the group of people, but the culture stays. They're different people, but the culture is the same. So I think that's one way that you could explain it, because, we'll have, let's say we have 30% different members that we do today than we had 2 years ago, let's say, right?
Yeah.
But the culture is the same. So different people, same culture. So that's something
Well, I forget if it was Seth Godin or one of the other gurus, but like people like us do things like this.
right.
And so attracting those types of people.
Yeah.
And that will change. Yeah. And not being scared of that churn either.
Yeah.
Like trying to hold on to the people because you don't want them to leave, but realizing, no, you have to be willing to let people go, to let your culture grow and evolve, to start to attract more people that are like you.
Right.
That's true.
When some people leave, you're like, okay, good. And when some people leave, you're like, damn. They were great for the culture. It's too bad they're leaving, but yeah.
That's right. So how can folks get a hold of you guys or follow you or find out, from afar, check out what you guys are doing?
Well, I can give my cell phone number. People can call me whenever they want. No, just Reza at CrossFitNCR.ca.
Follow us on social, CrossFit NCR, on Instagram.
Our Instagram is fire.
Yeah. Alessia's doing a great job with that. And we have some great actors as coaches who do some reels.
The best in the business.
Yeah, Reza loves being in front of the camera, so that's fantastic. But yeah, I mean, we're in Ottawa, Canada. So if you're traveling, come check us out. Come drop in, do a workout. Hey, Matt, you're doing a great job with this podcast here at CrossFit Canada.
Thank you. I mean, we got great stories to share, and I think let's take it back to the early days. You don't have to travel to Tommy Snar's gym. We can just hear each other's stories online now.
Exactly. It's
Tommy Snar would be a great guest if you could track him down.
Yeah, it's true.
And on that note, 3, 2, 1, time.